I nearly took a tumble last week, stepped off a curb, twisted my ankle for a split second, and my heart just did this weird jump. I was fine, but it landed in my chest. What if I wasn't? That's when I started thinking about how small, everyday things can ripple into bigger risks for our bones. Listen to your body. This matters.
That feeling is so familiar. And a listener shared a voice note last month about a fracture scare after a fall. They were halfway through a holiday and suddenly everything felt fragile. Today, we want to take that worry and turn it into practical steps. Food, short movements, and clear screening language so you feel prepared, not panicked.
We've got 3 guests to help us. Dr. Meera Patel, a bone health clinician, Lena Gomez, a registered dietitian, and Marcus Lee, a physiotherapist who specializes in accessible movement. Quick promise, we'll keep this safety first. Food and movement are part of the toolbox, never a replacement for urgent medical care.
Before we go further, I want to read a safety script I always use with patients. Food and short movements are supportive adjuncts for bone health. If you have sudden severe pain after a fall, obvious deformity, trouble breathing, or can't bear weight, seek emergency care now. If you're on blood thinners, have recent cancer treatment, or have other complex medical conditions, check with your clinician before starting new supplements or high-load exercise. We'll also give stop rules throughout the episode so you can move safely.
Thank you, Meera. That sets the tone. We'll also put 1-sentence evidence anchors and printable safety checklists in the show notes so you don't have to remember everything in the moment.
Segment 1, Bone Basics, real quick. Meera, in simple terms, what's happening inside our bones as we age, and how fast should someone expect change?
Bone is living tissue. It remodels constantly. Old bone is removed and new bone is laid down. After about age 30, many people make less new bone than they lose, so density slowly declines. The good news is that nutrition and weight-bearing movement influence that remodeling. Realistic timelines, lags, repeated low-trauma fractures, height loss, sudden back pain that feels different, or a fall that leads to persistent pain. Those are reasons to see a clinician promptly.
The research shows that targeted nutrition plus specific loading exercises produce the best signals for bone over time. And Lena, when you translate those signals into food, what are the key nutrients we should focus on so listeners can actually use them?
Nutrient-wise, keep it simple. Calcium, adequate protein, vitamin D, vitamin K2, magnesium, and a generally varied diet with plenty of whole foods. Calcium targets depend on age and sex, but a common adult goal is around 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams per day from food and supplements combined when needed. Protein matters for the bone matrix. Aim for a protein-containing source at each meal. Vitamin D helps calcium absorption. Many people need sensible sun exposure or a low-dose supplement, especially in winter. K2 is supportive for directing calcium into bone, but it's optional and has contraindications for people on certain blood thinners. Magnesium helps with bone structure and muscle function. Importantly, the timing of supplements matters when you're on medications. Talk to your clinician about interactions.
I love that you said, keep it simple. Let's make this usable. Quick swaps. Dairy-free listeners, what can you reach for instead of milk and yogurt for calcium?
Great question. Calcium-rich dairy-free options include fortified plant milks and tofu set with calcium, canned sardines or salmon with bones for those who eat fish, sesame tahini, collard greens, and bok choy. Beans and pulses have modest amounts. For budget options, canned sardines, frozen greens, and fortified cereals can be efficient. Cultural swaps. Think about traditional ingredients, small fish used in many cuisines, fermented soy products, leafy greens. These all translate across food cultures.
1-sentence evidence anchor for the notes? Dietary calcium plus protein and weight-bearing activity together support bone maintenance. Vitamin D status affects calcium absorption. We'll put the references in the show notes.
Okay, prep checklist for listeners who want to cook along with our mineral-rich grain and greens bowl. Read slowly so people cooking can pause between items. 1 cup cooked whole grain or a half cup dry. We'll say quinoa, brown rice, or millet. 1 to 1.5 cups mixed leafy greens, kale, spinach, or local greens. Half a cup canned sardines or a cup of firm tofu for calcium and protein. 2 tablespoons toasted sesame seeds or tahini. 1 small orange or a 1/4 cup chopped preserved citrus for vitamin C. 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil. Pinch of salt, a squeeze of lemon. Optional, a small knob of fermented miso or a low-dose fermented K2 drizzle. Optional, and we'll pause to explain contraindications.
If you're vegan, use calcium-set tofu and increase seeds and dark leafy greens. No fish? Use white beans plus a cup of fortified plant milk in the dressing for extra calcium. Budget tip, swap fresh citrus for a splash of apple cider vinegar and a teaspoon of honey for balance.
All right, we'll walk through the bowl step by step. Step 1, if your grain isn't cooked, start with 1 cup of water for each half cup dry grain. Bring to a simmer and cook according to package instructions. If you're using pre-cooked grains, you're already ahead. Step 2, while your grain cooks, massage your greens if using hand. Drizzle a teaspoon of oil and a pinch of salt and rub the leaves until they soften. That takes about 30 seconds.
Step 3. Prepare your protein. If using canned sardines, drain and flake them into bite-sized pieces. If using tofu, press lightly and cut into cubes. Toss with a little tamari and pan-sear for 3 to 4 minutes to get a bit of color. That heat adds flavor and helps with digestibility.
Step 4. Make the dressing. Combine 1 tablespoon olive oil, the juice of half an orange or 1 tablespoon lemon, a teaspoon of tahini or 2 teaspoons toasted sesame seeds, a pinch of salt, and a teaspoon of miso or a splash of soy sauce for umami if you like. Whisk and taste. Adjust with another squeeze of citrus if you want brightness.
Step 5. Assemble. A base of grain, then greens, your protein, drizzle dressing, and finish with sesame seeds. Nutrition reminders as you build. The grain and greens add minerals and fiber. The protein supports the bone matrix. The citrus provides vitamin C for collagen formation. This bowl is a practical way to combine those nutrients in one meal.
Storage tips quick. Keep dressing separate if you'll eat later. Refrigerate up to 3 days. Warm the grain before serving. Family variant, keep components separate so kids can pick and choose. Serve the protein on the side with a small dip.
Transition note for listeners who are skipping the cook-along. We'll move into an optional fermented K2 mini demo next, but that section is clearly labeled optional and has explicit contraindications. If you're on anticoagulants like warfarin, please skip it and use the store-bought alternatives we list in the show notes.
Optional fermented K2 mini demo. This is a tiny, low-dose way to introduce MK7 from a culinary angle. If you're comfortable and not on blood thinners, you can try a teaspoon of natto-style fermented soy or a small fermented chickpea drizzle made by fermenting cooked chickpeas with a salt brine for a few days. But, and this is important, do not do this if you're on warfarin or other anticoagulants. If any of that feels unfamiliar, choose a reliable store-bought K2 product and discuss dosing with your clinician. In our show notes, we list safe, tested brands and low-dose options.
I'll underline. Optional. No pressure. Use the store-bought alternatives if you prefer. And always check with your doctor if you're taking medication that affects clotting.
Transition cue. From kitchen to movement. Here's why both matter. If you're cooking along, pause here, hydrate, and have a chair nearby. Marcus, lead us into movement.
Okay, friends, 5-minute bone loading routine. I'll give accessible cues and stepwise modifications. Start standing with feet hip-width apart. Chair behind you if you need support. Move at your own pace and stop if anything hurts beyond normal muscle effort. Ready? Let's go. Exercise 1, 60 seconds. March in place with purposeful knee lift. Drive the heel into the floor as you land to create a gentle load. If standing is hard, do seated heel raises. Lift your heels off the floor, hold for 2 seconds, lower. Keep breathing. Side step and small hop. 2 side steps, then a small hop together. If you have joint issues, replace with side steps only, keeping it low impact. Focus on landing softly and upright posture. Controlled mini squat. Stand with feet shoulder width. Sit back as if to a chair. Aim for a range that feels safe. If knees are sensitive, only hinge at the hips and keep depth shallow. Use the chair behind you for security. Exercise 4, 45 seconds. Step-ups or stair taps. Find a low step and step up and down deliberately. If balance is a concern, hold a counter or use a railing. To make it easier, just tap one foot up and down. This is what stimulates bone, controlled, purposeful loading. March in place for 60 seconds. Then 3 seat stands. Sit and stand slowly 3 times, with hands on the chair if needed. This microset is perfect for a busy day and keeps the stimulus consistent.
That felt good. Short, doable, and you can repeat it 2 or 3 times a day. Marcus, one more thing. Common mistakes to avoid?
Don't rush the landing. Fast, uncontrolled impacts are a problem. Focus on control and quiet landings. If something hurts sharply, stop and reassess. And consistency beats intensity. 5 minutes daily is better than 1 high-impact hour once in a blue moon.
Segment 5, Micro Trial Options and Markers. 2 simple paths, a 4-week starter plan or an 8-week commitment. For 4 weeks, aim for 3 micro movement sessions and 2 built meals per week, built around bone-supporting combos. For 8 weeks, scale to daily microsets and 3 bone-focused meals per week. Simple, measurable markers. Single leg stand time. Record how long you can stand on one leg without support. Sit to stand counts in 30 seconds. And how your everyday confidence feels, like climbing a set of stairs. Track these at the start and every 2 weeks. Stop criteria. If you notice increasing joint pain, new bruising, or persistent dizziness, pause and check with a clinician.
Screening scripts and clinician language. If you're wondering whether to ask for a DXA scan or labs, here are clinician-ready phrases you can use. I've had a fall and lost height. Could we check my bone density with a DXA scan? Or, because I'm on long-term steroids, I'd like to discuss bone health and whether screening or treatment is appropriate. For medication conversations, can we review whether any of my medications affect my bone health and whether a bone protective treatment is right for me? These are concise, clinician-friendly ways to open the door. We also include a printable clinician checklist in the show notes. Key questions about fracture history, current medications, menopause or testosterone status, risk factors like smoking or steroid use, and when to order labs like vitamin D or consider referral to a bone specialist.
Before we close, quick reflection. Start small. Try 1 bowl or 1 90-second micro move this week. Notice how your body responds. 1 small step. That's the practice.
And from the science side, consistency matters. Measure something simple. Pick one habit and check in at 4 weeks. We'll put a micro trial tracker in the show notes to make that easy.
Reminder, if you experience a fall with any pain that doesn't improve, new deformity, or trouble bearing weight, seek urgent evaluation. And if you're considering supplements like K2 or higher dose vitamin D, discuss it with your clinician, especially if you're on blood thinners.
We want to hear from you. Try one recipe or the 90-second move and send us a photo or a voice note. Tag us on Instagram or leave an anonymous voice note. Links are in the show notes. And remember, your body knows. Trust the process.
Download the cheat sheets, 1-page evidence anchors, the printable clinician checklist, and the timing dosing cheat sheet for supplements and food-based sources. If you like this episode, subscribe so you don't miss follow-ups where we dig into questions from listeners.
Thanks to Mira, Lena, and Marcus. This felt practical and doable. And to you, listener, try one small thing this week. You've got this.
We'll close with our signature. Listen to your body, trust the earth, feel the difference. See you next time on Earthy Remedy.